So welcome everyone to a conversation with Alex Winstanley from Happy Smiles Training. I'm dead excited about today's chat with you, Alex. I think we're going to learn a lot about what you do over in Wigan and how you've sort of had more of a national impact with your work. If you've not been along to one of these before, my name is Emma Smith. I'm the project manager with Empowered Conversations, which is an Age UK Salford project. We deliver communication courses for family carers across Greater Manchester, and we also offer one-to-one support in Salford for family carers of people with dementia. And as a result of COVID, we're doing stuff like this. So we do webinars, we do discos, we do singing, you name it, we've had a go at it. So at the bottom of your screen, you've found the chat already because you've just annihilated me with the scone discussion. Thank you very much. Next to that is Q&A. So if at any time you've got some questions, just pop them into the Q&A, and then what we'll do at the end is we'll pick those questions up with Alex. So I think that's all I have to say. Really looking forward to this chat, and I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to hand over to Alex.
No worries. Thanks, Emma, and thanks for not inviting me to the discos or the karaoke's or anything like that, because that wouldn't have gone down quite as well. I did used to be in a band, just so everybody knows, but definitely not a singer. So yeah, I'm glad you didn't invite me to that one. But yeah, hi everyone. I'm just going to try and share my screen really soon. So hopefully everyone sees that. I've just got a few slides just with some pictures, just to try and show everyone, some of the stuff that I'm talking about and depict hopefully a little bit of the impact that we've had over the past couple of years or so, and talk about one or two little things. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it, and hopefully you get something from it. And if there's any questions, please ask away. So fingers crossed everyone can see that. But Emma, I'm just gonna have to go off your judgment. If you just give us a thumbs up if you can see.
Yeah,
brilliant. Amazing, fantastic. So what I'm going to talk about today is my social enterprise that I set up alongside a friend, disabled young man who I used to support and have a very close relationship. So I'm going to be talking about that, as well as off the back of that almost a children's book series that sort of came out of the blue, but have sort of taken off a little bit, well, far more unexpectedly than I ever thought. So yeah, going to be talking a little bit about that as well. So again, any questions about either, feel free to ask away. There's some details on there if you don't already follow any of those pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or either the Happy Smiles pages or my own. Please do. And there's also the website or the email address there. Both email addresses you can use to get in touch with me if you've got any questions you might want to ask afterwards. But I'll put these details back up later on as well. So I suppose this is the question that started everything for me. Why is that man in a wheelchair? That's a question that was asked probably about 2018, and I was in Florida with Hayden, who you can see on the picture there, and you can see I'm actually in my PE kit there. I used to be a PE teacher, much to my mum's dismay. She hated PE teachers, but I always wanted to be a PE teacher. Just wanted to be a teacher, work with children and young people, and have a bit of an impact on people's lives. So that's what I always thought I wanted to be. Anyway, we heard this question, and this is a little girl, and she asked the dad, "Why is that man in a wheelchair?" And the dad sort of just said, let's go on this ride over here, and we heard it, and I completely understand his reaction. It wasn't anything that was negative purposefully or anything like that, but it was avoiding that question, and that started this seed that to me was saying this question needs answering, and I'm not the person to answer that. Yes, I can help to make it happen, but this has to be answered by people with lived experience of these sorts of questions or these sort of interactions, and it's something lived experience that I'm very, very passionate about, and I believe that people with lived experience are the experts, so we've got to listen to those people. So that question got asked and it never got answered, so we was like, right, let's answer it. So Hayden and I did a video all about Hayden's life, what he likes to do, how he communicates, for example, because Hayden has Hayden communicates mainly non-verbally, but verbally with about 10 to 15 words in his vocabulary, which mean lots of different things in different contexts. So you've just got to know Hayden well, but he can completely understand everything that you're saying, can tell you things back. You've just got to got to get to know him like anyone really, especially if you know someone like me who's got a Wigan accent. So it's just about getting to know people. And anyway, we said, right, let's do that. So we did a video, just again about that stuff about Hayden, and it just it sort of took off a little bit really. Like we reached thousands and thousands of people, which we just didn't expect. And again, that planted the seed to think, right, we need to do more. So we started doing more with different disabled young adults, more videos. And we'd already got this name, Happy Smiles. It sort of stuck because the previous year, Hayden had spent nearly a year in hospital, and with just numerous complications. And in that time, we asked people to send in pictures of their happy smiles to keep Hayden cheery, and whilst he was just flicking through his iPad all day in hospital. And the name stuck. So that's where the name came from. We started up this blog, which quickly became a training provider. And it went from there. But that's the basis of sort of everything of my life as a social entrepreneur, which still feels weird to say, over the past 2 or 3 years. So we realised, and we'd known this for a long time, my background, like I say, was in teaching, but I was also a part-time personal assistant, or you might know it as a carer, to numerous disabled young adults in Wigan and Lee. So for sort of 10 years doing that part-time, and I fell into it. Never thought I would do it ever, and it just randomly happened, and it's the best thing I ever did. I didn't know why. I couldn't understand, and still can't, why everyone isn't a personal assistant or in some sort of caring role. I'm extremely passionate about health and social care for that reason, and just the benefits it brings for everybody. And I'll talk about some of our training we do around that in a little bit as well. But yeah, really passionate about the role. And just over years, through direct and indirect lived experience, just saw all these problems that people, particularly disabled people, were facing. So, tons and tons of problems, but just as an example, and problems that as an organisation at Happy Smiles, we try to fix. But UK businesses, they're losing nearly 300 billion, 274 billion pound a year, which we may or may not be aware of. Is called the purple pound, the spending power of disabled people. And I know so many disabled people who don't access shops, either in person or online, for example, within retail, because they can't get into the shop, or they can't access the website, or they don't feel valued or represented. So we're here, basically, one of our remits and one of our passions is to try to get to businesses and say, look, you're losing a lot of money, and we can help to change that. So that's a big issue we've come across. On top of that, 1 in 5 potential consumers or employees as well will have an impairment or a disability, whatever term you like to use, which means there's a lot of people out there that require accessibility and additional support needs a lot of the time. At the same time, disabled people are twice as likely to be unemployed as non-disabled people, and that number's growing, as is the perception gap. So that's something we felt we needed to address. So we thought, well, how can we get this message out there, like we did with the videos, but also give people volunteer or employment opportunities? And that is another big issue that we try to address. And again, disability hate crimes continuing to increase. It's actually a hate crime awareness week next week, and we're doing hate crime workshops all week in Wigan and Lee with the libraries team, and with a couple of other social enterprises too, looking at hate crime across a range of different strands, not just disability, which is really exciting. So yeah, again, we're just trying to, we set up because we wanted to address this problem and these problems, and hopefully we're continuing to do that. So as I say, we set up this social enterprise, myself and Hayden. You can see myself on the picture there, hopefully, just in front of the sign. Only 5'5", so yeah, you might have to look closely, but yeah, you can see me there. And then Hayden on the far right, as you're looking at the picture, alongside our growing team. So it was myself and Hayden we set up, and then Kurt joined us, as you can see, with a mask, and we've grown from there. And we've now got 9 disabled young adults, as I say, who deliver our training. So we like I said, not only wanted to deliver the training, we also wanted to give people more working opportunities. But that had to be led by them. It had to be led by people with lived experience in order to create more inclusive communities. And we're really passionate about community wealth building, and I'm sure everyone is aware, but for anyone who isn't, community wealth building is all about giving back to local communities, supporting local people, and that's what we do. So when we deliver training, for example, if we deliver a business, for a full day of training. That'll allow us to donate some free time in a local school, whilst also supporting local disabled young adults. So to have those experiences. So there's a lot of community wealth building going on within our organisation that we're really passionate about. And you can see there, so Lisa and Andy recently tweeted about us saying that we're a fantastic local organisation led by disabled people, which we were like, amazing, because that's what we want people to know us as. So that's absolutely fantastic. So just wanted to show some pictures, just sort of describing our journey a little bit. So you can see a lot of our work started with schools, community groups, children and young people. So my background in teaching was actually in secondary schools, but I knew we needed to try and reach people from as young an age as possible. So we've done work with children from as young as 4, and the books have catered for children even younger than that, which I'll get on to in a minute. And then worked with adults and older people all the way through to, I'll talk about a project in a moment in which we supported older people in particular. But we deliver training to a range of different audiences now. So it's grown from schools, community groups, up to businesses, different organisations, universities, trainee teachers, for example, local carers or personal assistants we deliver with. We've delivered training with local charities, national charities such as Purple, who look at campaigning around the Purple Pound. So if you've not heard of them or seen them before, they're an amazing organisation. So we've done some work with them, for example. But we've delivered training across the Northwest ever since day one, really. We didn't want to just be confined to Wigan and Leigh and our borough in Wigan. We wanted to make sure we were impacting as many people as possible. So that's where, we decided we're going to deliver as far and wide as we can, whilst making sure that our team can access as many spaces as possible. So you'll see pictures there where we've delivered, the most recent one, I think, being the top left one, which was only, I think, last week, that actually. And that was members of our team delivering some book reading sessions in a local library with a local school. You can see pictures of people who've supported us, such as the local mayor in Wigan, which is amazing. And we've done work with organisations like hospital staff in the NHS pre-COVID, Beavers groups that you can see there. So, Beavers Scouts groups. We do all sorts of training around many different topics like resilience, inclusive sports, like you can see on the top right there, inclusive language and communication for staff, diversity and inclusion sessions. So there's a big range of what we deliver, and everything is made bespoke to suit whoever we're delivering to as well. And you can see, just to mention, a fairly recent picture of our growing team. Again, most of our team are in that picture. It's just the one of us, the second in from the right, and we're just holding up certificates. Last year we were recognised and put on the Learning Disability and Autism Leaders list for 2021, which is brilliant to be recognised at a national level. And I'll talk about some of the recognition as well in a bit. So these are just some of the organisations we've worked with or that have supported us or we've partnered with. There's many more that we sort of just couldn't fit on the screen. But yeah, hopefully, you might recognise some of the brands on there. And it's really great to be associated with them, and really proud of all of the work that we've done and everything that we've been recognised for, and hopefully that continues to increase as we grow as well. So I suppose moving on from that, when COVID hit, we couldn't get into schools, community groups, and work with children and young people. We couldn't really do too much, and we started to do community projects, delivering food and checking in on people and well-being projects. But for some reason, I thought it was the right time. I just had a little bit more time on my hands personally, and I'd always wanted to write this book about dementia because my grandma had dementia. So that was the first book that I wrote, and I've got them all here. But yeah, that was the first one that I wrote, and something I was really passionate about, trying to get the story out about something that isn't spoken about widely enough. And again, I'm so passionate about, speaking about things, differences, challenges, and embracing diversity, embracing difference, championing it and not challenging it. And I find that a lot of children and young people are often shielded from difficult conversations. around things like dementia. It's so prevalent in society, you know. The amount of people, I think nearly 1 million people, over 850,000 people who are currently diagnosed with dementia. It's a huge number and growing, and we all know and be aware of that and growing worldwide as well. So again, it's something that I didn't find was spoken about enough or understood. So I wrote that book, crowdfunded it. It got crowdfunded at the end of 2020 and was released almost a year ago today. So I've just started a giveaway all this week and probably into next week, because this week's National Storytelling Week as well. And the Dementia book came out just over a year ago. So just to celebrate that. So if you know any schools or anyone that would be interested in the book, get in touch and try and get a free copy to them as well. But yeah, that book came out a year ago. And then it went on to win a Dementia Hero Award with the Alzheimer's Society, which I still don't really know how that happened. It was such a shock, really. And that inspired me to write other books. But yeah, that was particularly, you know, personal to me, because my grandma passed away about a month before the book came out, and she never got to see the book, but I'm really proud that her legacy lives on within that book, and the impact it's had on children and young people worldwide since has been amazing. And you know, we've had conversations and people get in touch and say, like, there's a picture there of a young boy and his mum, and the mum got in touch and said, you know, my little boy didn't understand why his granddad had dementia, or his granddad was acting differently, and we read the book together and we cried, and it's his favorite book. You know, and we always read it every night now, which is just, you know, is unbelievable, because my grandma's had that legacy. At the same time, a teacher got in touch and said, I remember she said she bought the book for a pupil who's again, their granddad was going through dementia, and the little girl didn't understand why. So it was affecting a personal life and a school life. So the teacher bought the pupil the book, and she said that was 4 months ago. The book's now dog-eared, and she just reads it all the time. And her school life and personal life has completely changed because she has that understanding. And I was blown away by those comments, because I thought it could help people to understand dementia better, but I never thought it would impact someone so much to improve school life or personal life. I really didn't. So things like that's amazing. And one of my favorite pictures, probably someone's ever sent in, you'll see is a little girl there called Georgia Ray, and her mum sent that to me because she dressed her up as my grandma for World Book Day last year, and I was just like, this is unbelievable. Like, in what world is someone dressed as my grandma for World Book Day? So yeah, absolutely over the moon with things like that. You can see obviously with the award there with my daughter. But we've done a lot of work with the book since, and the following books, and we did a project pretty quickly after the book came out, which was funded by GMCA, and it was called Let's Read Together, and it was an intergenerational reading project, because I'd seen the impact, and I kept getting told by colleagues and former colleagues that reading abilities was having a real impact because of COVID. So we decided to do something about it, or you know, we wanted to try and launch a project. So we did. We started to do some online reading with children and young people in schools with the dementia book, and then train them to then read the book to care home residents. So then they went on and read it to a local care home and their residents, and that was amazing, because it built those relationships, those intergenerational relationships that are so important. And I think they have really great impact. And it also helps to support the reading levels of children and young people about something that was really relevant. So, you know, that project lasted for 6 months, and it was really successful. We read the book to hundreds of children, young people, and care home residents, and hopefully, you know, even on a softer scale, just help to brighten some people's day within that as well. Like I said before, I then started to release more books. So my uncle has depression, which I've got here. My brother has cancer, my cousin has Tourette's, and my child has cerebral palsy. So they're all here with me now. All of those books are inspired by lived experience and real people. Most of them, Tourette's, cancer, and depression and dementia are all people within my family, and I was inspired to write those books by them. But also, for example, the depression book, I kept hearing about, ex-rugby league players, for example, ex-sportsmen, particularly being from Wigan. I grew up watching, Wigan Warriors, and I saw people who I idolised as a child who were then living with depression after retiring, or experiencing depression during playing. So I spoke to a lot of rugby players and our former players as well, and they told me some amazing stories. And it was just about getting them into a real child-friendly format, and it was something that was really, really exciting, trying to get those tough conversations into a child-friendly, way. And for me, it's just about starting those conversations. So the more we can start the conversation about difference in whatever way it might be, the better. So we've also done a lot of work with the books, as you can see, in schools, with community groups, with children, young people locally. And the more we can do that, the better. As I showed, I think, the picture before of our team, they were reading the cerebral palsy book last week, because a lot of those people, even if you can see the cover of the book, are members of our team. So you've got Hayden in the middle there with his mum. You've got Kurt, who's been with us since pretty much day one as well. And other local people as well, within that book as well. So again, something that I'm really, really passionate about, representing those voices. And off the back of that, our work sort of with Happy Smiles training, with the books and everything that we've been doing, we were recognised last year in a few different national awards, which was amazing, to have that recognition. So you can see me and Hayden at the bottom right there. Last year in London, I think it was in November or December. I think it was November. It was the Great British Entrepreneur Awards. So we were finalists in that for the Entrepreneur for Good category, which was amazing. So we got to go down there and experience that. And the Go Compare guy hosted it too. It was really funny, actually. But to be in a room with amazing people who were just creating positive change across the country was, just a fantastic experience and opportunity. So our details are on here again, but just to sort of give you an idea, just whilst I wanted to keep these on the screen. In terms of what we do at Happy Smiles, we deliver, as I said before, across a range of different sectors to lots of different places and people of all different ages. Very, very passionate about lived experience, very passionate about using that to support inclusion and diversity. And that just completely lends itself to the books in terms of, representing as many people from as many different backgrounds as possible. We knew that, we couldn't just have, for example, a white male doctor in the dementia book, or we knew that we had to represent people, from lots of different backgrounds within as many opportunities as possible. So again, it's something that I'm really passionate about, and there's some books that I'm currently working on, because at the end of last year as well, I ended up signing with a publisher called Tiny Tree, which is absolutely amazing. So they're sort of working with me now to look at what comes next, and they've taken over this first series of these first 5 books. So they're going to be releasing those this year, and then hopefully we'll be looking at future additions to the series, if not other separate books. But I'm also speaking to a number of different organisations at the minute who've asked me to write about different either long-term health conditions or other different elements of inclusion and diversity, which is again really exciting to be able to do that. So yeah, that's I suppose as much information as I can give, hopefully without boring people too much, around Happy Smiles training and about the books as well. What I will say is that I'm really proud that now we've gone from sort of myself and Hayden over the past 2.5 years or so to a team that's an organisation that's led by 90% of people who are disabled, and 50% of our employees are disabled now. We've just managed to take on someone else using the Kickstart scheme, disabled young woman who have been volunteering for us. So again, it's just something that I'm very, very passionate about. So yeah, hopefully you can take something from that. But if you're interested in our work, it's there's our social media links. Please do follow us and get in touch. Let us know what you think and spread the word. But also our website is on there, so feel free to have a look around our website. a blog just went out yesterday, actually, a recent blog under team news on the website, which gives you quite a good indication to some of the training that we offer and just some of the sort of regular things that we do and people that deliver our training as well. So yeah, I suppose that's everything in a nutshell. But what we'll do is, I suppose we've got plenty of time for questions. So yeah, we'll leave it open for question and answers, and I'll stop sharing my screen. Hopefully people have been able to take some of those links and stuff like that. But I'll stop sharing my screen now. And yeah, any questions, fire away.
Just blown away. So that I think Claire just said, you are inspirational, Alex, and your team. And I was thinking, so you're a social entrepreneur, you're a teacher, you're an author. How do you like balance all of that? It's just loads.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know another answer than that. I don't know, because I get told off a lot by my wife, rightly so, for doing too much, and I just can't help it a lot of the time. Just start taking things on. I've been on certain programs where they say about you need to put business development programs, you put strategies in place and now I just constantly still feel like I'm just spinning a million plates. But I know a lot of people who feel similar, and a lot of amazing people doing amazing stuff out there. So obviously it's not just me who would feel that way as well. But yeah, no, I don't know. I just try and do as much as I can whenever possible.
I love, because I've had a look on the website and I watched the film of you and Hayden, which started it all. And then it made me think, as you've been talking about, your team, that you bring in your team together with lived experience, and just thinking about how authentic that makes what you do. So it's not you just going, oh yeah, I'm gonna go over there and solve that problem. Actually, it's you've got people on the team who are going to say, I struggle with this. I wonder if anybody else struggles with that. Well, I wonder if we can offer some training around that, or I wonder if we can change that. So it's so authentic, isn't it?
Yeah, no, yeah, thank you. And I mean, that's where our training, essentially a lot of our training has come from and will come from, because people go, well, for example, a lot of our team are very resilient people naturally, because they just face so many unnecessary challenges and obstacles almost daily. So, they've overcome so much and they overcome so many things all the time that they shouldn't have to. But that just naturally led to our team being able to go and teach children, young people about resilience and what that means. So yeah, it is. It's very, very, led by lived experience. That's just what we're all about. So it couldn't be any other way. Otherwise, there'd be no point. It couldn't have me just talking about it. I'm not the expert necessarily. I'm just passionate about. I'm a passionate advocate. So yeah. And I forgot to say as well. I saw a question come through before. Sorry. Yeah, the books are available on Amazon, but if you get in touch via our website, we've got a book bundle form on there. So if people get in touch, you can actually get it cheaper. So yeah, let us know and we can make that happen as well before you buy them on Amazon. Either way, all the profits go to us, but we can get you them cheaper via our website as well.
Brilliant. So what's you say your family are your inspiration for quite a lot of those books. How have they felt, reacted, shared with you about now the books are out there?
Yeah, really supportive. Really supportive. Obviously, the first one about my grandma was obviously extremely personal, and there's a video on my Facebook, on my author Facebook, I think it is, of a reading that my mum and I did, which was when the book had just come out. So that's quite fun to watch. Yeah, because we're both not professional readers, and my mum's got a stronger Wigan accent than me. But yeah, so obviously it was very personal. They've all been really personal. So I suppose everyone's just got behind them because of that personal nature. It's all people that I really want to give a voice to. So yeah, my family, been amazing, really supportive, and they sort of see that I'm just sort of trying to do lots of things all the time and tell me off for it. But at the same time, they're always there, I suppose. If I need it. So yeah, amazingly supportive. Some people actually say, funnily enough, I like it, flipping heck, like I hope you don't have any more sort of trauma within your family because you've got all these books written about with members of your family. And I'm like, well, if you think about what I'm writing about, they're all so prevalent. We just don't speak about it. Like every single person in the world will be impacted by dementia, depression, cancer in their lifetime, for example. Every person will. So it's just important we talk about them.
Definitely. I did have that thought, and I was like, are these all of his family? And I was thinking that, but it's true. It's true. You know, at least 3 of those will all be impacted on, or in the future will be. Are you not allowed to give us a hint about what the next book is? Come on, let's have the scoop. What are you working on?
We've got there's a few ideas. I'm not allowed to say 1 or 2 of them, but I am having conversations at the minute with the Lewy Body Society about a specific Lewy Body book, which is exciting. Speaking to Wigan Warriors about a book to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the cancer link, and I'm speaking to Man United Community Foundation as well, and hopefully have a dementia link within a book that hopefully will work out with them. So all of those are really exciting opportunities. Again, just to get people starting these conversations. So yeah, there are a few little things a few little conversations going on at the minute.
Okay, I'm gonna thank you for that. It gave us a little bit, not much, but a little bit. Okay, so Lauren has said, I think this is a great project. Thank you for sharing. The impact your work is having is incredible. And then Jane has said, I'm a palliative care nurse, and we often use books for children to help them deal with a family member who is very sick or has died. And I think that really had an impact when you were talking about, you know, the stories that are shared back with you. So you put a story out,
yeah,
and you're like, oh, there's my story, off it goes. But actually the impact for you is when the stories come back to you and they say, well, this has really helped this little girl at school, or this has really helped this person in this way. So I wondered if any of the others, so you've sort of talked about your dementia, My Grandma Has Dementia, but have you got any stories from the other books that you could share?
Yeah, I mean, we had somebody last week, and when they were doing the reading, our team were doing the reading in the school, with the cerebral palsy book, and 4 out of 5 of the members of the team that were doing the reading at the time have cerebral palsy. So there was no one better to answer questions. And there was a little boy in one of the classes who had cerebral palsy, and the school had asked us previously about doing some work with this young man and this boy, and that's something that we're now having conversations with. But his sister goes to the same school, and we noticed she came into the session and very quickly left, and was sort of sat in the corridor with a teaching assistant, quite upset. Someone came in and told us she'd been upset purely because she's getting to an age now where she's struggling to deal with her emotions around having to feel like she has to support her brother and be almost like a carer for her brother, which I find so many times. Like, I know so many people who often are a younger sibling, for example, but feel like they're the older sibling because they've become the carer of somebody, and there's a lot of guilt with that. Just like there's guilt, for example, with dementia. My grandma who had dementia, she lived in a care home for 2 years, and her living in that care home was a massive issue for my mum and our family, and she had to make that tough decision. And actually, she lived the best 2 years of her life in that care home, Windsor House care home in Wigan. They were incredible because she had so much going on rather than living on her own and being isolated. But yeah, went off on a tangent, going back to what I was saying. But that little girl actually spoke to members of our team after the session, and there was hugs and tears and all sorts, and Tia was in tears and all this stuff. But to know that little girl had that opportunity to see positive disabled role models with cerebral palsy doing amazing things, hopefully she's gone away from that and gone, do you know what? Because that could stick with her for the rest of her life, and hopefully it does in a really positive way. So yeah, that's probably the most recent example.
Thank you for that one, Alex. Penny, I know you did say about Lewy Body Society. Penny had asked, it's an amazing story. Are you planning any further work on dementia? So obviously we know about the one with Lewy Body, who just happened to be in Wigan. So that's a nice coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any other dementias? Are you going to have you thought of?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Man United conversations are in the early days, but I know the person I'm speaking to about that has lived experience of dementia with his granddad, and we sort of spoke about how a book that is linked with them could have a dementia theme running through that. So So yeah, it'd be really nice to do that. Obviously, like I'm really passionate about, you know, being an advocate for people living with dementia and supporting them and the families. And just after the dementia book came out, actually, I thought of a project that I really wanted to run, but just haven't had the opportunity to. So if anyone would like to take this and run with it, please do. But I've got a logo for it. I've got the name that's inspired by my grandma. One of her favorite words she used to say. I think it's a really cool idea, but it's all about celebrating carers and dementia carers. I found that, for example, my mum as an unpaid carer just devoted 24/7 her life 24/7 to my grandma's well-being, and I grew up seeing that. So, you know, I knew my grandma needed support. My mum was always doing it, but I worried about my grandma and I worried about my mum. And my mum never really opened up on those conversations till recent years as we've got older. So, and that's because she was trying to protect us, but that's what lots of parents and carers do. So yeah, this project I had an idea of, which I think would be amazing. I think, you know, just in celebrating positive stories. Yeah, if anyone would be interested, let me know, because I just got sick of seeing negative stories, and rightly so. There's some really negative practice out there in terms of care, health and social care, but at the same time, there's amazing practice, and I think we've got to celebrate that amazing practice. It's not celebrated enough. So yeah, let me know if you're interested.
I liked your pitch there, your sales pitch. Yeah, I want to do it. You're right though, because what we see in the press is the negative. It's the this care home did that, this care home's done that, this family care, you know, it's always the negative. It's not like there's never any, like, the press don't ever celebrate, oh God, there was an amazing care home that did X, Y, and Z. So that does sound interesting, Alex, and I definitely want to have a chat with you about what that is. And I'll encourage everybody else to. Right, this is your time, so start getting the questions into the Q&A. Don't give Alex any more praise, because his head will just explode and we'll not fit him on the Zoom screen. So if you can drop your questions in at the bottom, that would be really good, please. I'm looking through mine to see if there's any questions that I hadn't. So does Hayden work part-time, full-time on this project with you? On your social enterprise?
Yeah, full-time. Yeah, he had no choice really. I was like, look, spoke to his family. I'm obviously very close with him. We sort of said, why is he spending £100 a day playing Xbox or watching an Xbox being played? He weren't even playing it. So it was like, you know, just doing nothing. And I just saw so many examples of that. So I was like, look, we need to change it, and I'm going to leave my teaching job. And it weren't an overnight thing. You know, like I say, we delivered some trial training in my school that I taught at, and other local community groups. And then suddenly, you know, we'd done a few days of training in my school, and I had parents and carers ringing in and saying, my daughter's coming home and said, you've done this training. She's never seen anything like it. She can't believe it. Blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, no one's seen this. Like, it's got legs. Like, not only are they positively impacted by it, but Hayden just saved himself £500 this week, like, and not being bored to tears. I mean, as much as he might have potentially enjoyed elements of it as well, like, obviously but the problem is particularly for disabled people, you get stuck in a system that you just go, specials, I hate the word special, but special needs school, segregated schools, segregated day service, segregated this and that. People just get used to it. So it's just about trying to challenge that status quo, to try and make that difference, and change that, and give people different opportunities, and make people aware that those different opportunities are out there, that can be based around their skills. And as I said before, Hayden, you know, has a limited vocabulary, but you get to know him, or someone's supporting him to communicate. And, you know, he has an amazing story, you know, lives a brilliant life, super busy all the time, especially now, and has spoken in front of over 5,000 people now. So, you know, it's just a prime example of where people think sometimes, oh, it's not for me, or I can't do that, I can't do this. But actually, you know, but just about having an open mind.
Brilliant. Right, we've got a very quiet audience. I'm not getting any questions. Maybe you've just said everything, Alex. Maybe you have.
I can talk, so apologies. I talk forever. It's my mum's fault.
Don't blame your mum. Does your mum like? Your mum must be really proud of, you know, getting the story out about your grandma, and then just how that's just spun out. You know, you did it with crowdfunding. So how much, like, you raised crowdfunding, and then 2 years later you got your first publishing deal. Is that right?
Crowdfunded it at the end of December 20. It's hard to keep track with COVID, but 2020, 2021, so last year, so a year ago today, the book came out, and then sort of 11, 12 months later was where the publishing deal came along. So yeah, really quickly. Yeah, I never expected it. It was that, to be honest, was through links with the Wigan Library team who had heard about the books. We'd gone and done some readings. That relationship has grown, and people within that team got in touch with Tiny Tree and sort of said, look, we have a relationship with them, and speak to them. And suddenly it was like they're interested in the books, and I was like, okay. So yeah.
And I know you've talked about the training, but when I looked on the website, Amanda said, thank you for sharing, inspirational. When I looked, I told you no more compliments. Come on.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, you can't offer, it's easier on a screen, but like I do go quite very red, and it's hard for people saying, I don't feel inspirational, and that's like, I'm not looking for fishing compliments in anywhere. It's just what I think is right and what needs to be done. And it's, and I know our team don't like being told they're inspirational, even though they are. I get it. I do get it. But it's about, not being inspirational, for example, because they're disabled. It's inspirational because of the work they're doing. So it's just about taking that in the right way.
And I was worried because you are only 5'5", so if your head does swell out, there's going to be some issues there. Oh, lots of food.
One of those bobbleheads that go on the front of cars, yeah.
And then, yeah, definitely one of those bobbleheads. Yeah. Claire said, I'd be interested to assist oh, wait a minute, it just went off. I'd be interested to assist with celebrating dementia carers. Oh, there we go. We've got the Bennetts on board with that. So that would be exciting. Yeah,
well, let me know. Just get in touch, because it's something that I think could really work in terms of a business model, and how it would work and how it would sustain itself. But it really importantly, I think it would celebrate carers really well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you were saying about carers, or what went into my mind, and we say it a lot, we say that I'm fine carers. I'm fine. Yeah. How are you doing today? I'm fine. And it's really hard to get below that I'm fine sort of veneer that people put on. And I understand why they do it, but it's really hard to get below that and go, it's challenging. You can't be fine all of the time. There must be some challenges here that you're facing. Jana said, we're looking to providing more support for carers over in Rochdale. Jane, if you are, give us a shout, because Empowered would definitely love to be doing some work with you. Rachel, one of my colleagues, has said, an empowered book. We have lots of carers who would like to be involved in celebrating the positives, the funny stories of dementia.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Well,
never getting away from us, Alex.
Let's look into it. More than happy. I think that's great. I have been asked before about books about carers, young carers as well. And I want to, like I say, represent as many people in the books as possible. Sometimes there's people have asked about, for example, can you do a book specifically about? I got asked recently about LGBTQ plus the community, and I said, I haven't done that yet. I really want to do that, but at the same time, it wouldn't lend itself to this series, because this series is about long-term health conditions. But even within this series, we've got characters representing people from that community. So yeah, more than happy to have any conversations, to be honest.
That's why you're so busy, Alex, because you want to do everything. I'll do everything.
Yeah. It's not good.
The list of training that you guys offer is just phenomenal. It's huge. Like, it's just this massive, extensive list of we do this, we can do this, and we can do that. And how much of your week is taken up by delivering that training?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I wish it was just delivering training. If someone could pay me, and I love the delivery side and supporting that because of my teaching background and stuff. So, and I can obviously speak a lot, unfortunately for some. So and Hayden would say, that's not good, but yeah, so I suppose, like, for me, if it was every single day, all day, brilliant. And it's, we don't do too bad at all, but yeah, a lot of it is that. For example, next week we're busy all week. There's so much stuff though behind the scenes. There's just so many things going on. So yeah, it's like running a business, and I think I talk a lot to other social entrepreneurs about delivering and running everything in the business and on the business at the same time. Like trying to run the business from lots of different elements, which I've learned. I never had any experiences of doing that before teaching at all. I had no idea about running a social enterprise or a business. I just knew it needed to happen. But I've learned a lot since then and still learning all the time. And then, actually doing the stuff in the delivery is what I absolutely love.
Yeah, it is. You are constantly juggling, aren't you? You're juggling all of these things and like, right,
Definitely.
what deadline have I got? Samantha said a book on early onset dementia would be worthwhile.
Yeah. I know I've had that request before, and it was hard because the dementia book came out and everyone was like, what about like a My Granddad Has Dementia, or what about, early onset dementia, or specific, and obviously each book costs money to produce, and we try to fund and pay for personally the first books. Any books that Tiny Tree do, they would fund anyway from now on, but it's sort of their decision. And there's just this big list of things that people have requested, and I wish I could just do everything. So it's just about finding, people that want to work on the book together and finding the right opportunity, really. But I'm very, very open-minded to doing as much as possible.
No, it's brilliant. I don't know if we've talked about this, but I worked with Age UK, worked on a Mr. Alzheimer's book in Salford.
Yeah, heard it.
And I know you spoke with Joy and Amanda about that, but once you've done that, then people go, well, it should be a Mrs. Alzheimer's, and there should be children, and you're like, whoa, we don't want a whole family of Alzheimer's. No, Mr. Alzheimer's goes there. But and so when you're saying like the impact it had on school, I was thinking, yeah, because I've been in schools with the book, reading the book, giving the book out, and it really makes a difference to people's lives. And we found that even though we went in talking about like a grandfather figure, Mr. Alzheimer's had dementia, actually the kids were coming and talking to the teachers about other long-term conditions. So you sort of went in with one, and they related to it, and actually they themselves broadened it out and wanted to talk about their family, which was, it might have been cancer, or it might have been a different condition. It wasn't dementia, but it started that conversation for them in the schools, which was really amazing.
That's what it's all about. It's just starting those conversations. And like you say, the book was about my grandma, but hopefully, it encompassed lots of people's experiences, because it weren't just my grandma's specific experiences. Like with the books, there might be one central character, but I try and take on board as much as possible. So, like just some of these pages, I just thought then, like, for example, we talk about on this page about different types of dementia, but, just intentionally trying to represent people from lots of different backgrounds. And like the care home scene, you probably, unfortunately, wouldn't see care homes like this that have people from lots of different backgrounds, children in there and stuff like that, playing games. That doesn't happen enough, but we wanted to show children that actually that could happen. And that's really what should be happening. So, children see that, and then hopefully, relate and see those different characters that way as well.
Brilliant. Has anyone got any more questions for Alex? Or compliments, or you can have another you could come back on the scone argument from earlier if you wanted to.
Well, I'll tell you what I'd ask people to do, which would be really helpful, is go, if anyone wants to compliment me or look at what we do and compliment what we do at Happy Smiles, feel free to go to Happy Smiles Training CIC, just Google it, and leave us a quick review of your thoughts, because the more people do that, the more sort of support business that we get, and the more we can support people. So big us up that way. That's a better way for me. But no, that's great. And I'll copy Jen your email. I've just seen your comments, so I'll send you a message soon.
I am with Emma on the scone. Wait a minute, people. No one gets to leave. We're on a 2-2. We're back to equal now. It's a 2-2. I got 2. You got 2. So while people, we need one more person to swing the vote on that one. While you're doing that, I just wanted to raise your awareness. So that's it for our webinars in February now, but we're back in March. We've got 2nd of March with Alison Ray, who has written this book. So she is at the University of Cardiff. This tiny little thin book is about 10 years work squished into one book. So there's a lot of learning in there. And then the following week, we have Agnes Houston, who lives with dementia, and she's going to be talking about her book, Dementia and Sensory Challenges. I feel like I'm doing like a book promo with all my webinars. It doesn't normally happen like this. So they're coming up. So I hope that you find those interesting. Please sign up for them. Alex, you have been brilliant. It's been amazing just to find out so much about what you do over in Wigan and nationally and globally. And where are you going to go next with Happy Smiles? I'm going to finish with that one. What's your vision? So you're in Wigan. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, I've just put some links on there so people can see a little bit more. Hopefully they don't always come through, but anyway, hopefully people can use them. But yeah, Jane said Rochdale. Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem at all. Got a good friend in Rochdale. Yeah, to be honest, like, you know, I'd love it if nationally, particularly, you know, our vision is that when people Google, for example, diversity and inclusion training led by lived experience, or, you know, those sort of keywords that were coming up there and people are seeing that, you know, we want to sort of try and get in front of the big companies that can, you know, put on a tick box training that can just pay £25 an employee or whatever. They do it quickly, get a certificate and see you later. You know, we want to bring people away from that tick box mentality. So hopefully, you know, that's a vision of ours, that we can get recognised more and more, you know, nationally, internationally, moving up those sort of Google ranks, especially to get people to see what we're doing. But just to keep growing and just to keep scaling sustainably and keep having the impact that we're having.
Wonderful. And I'm sure that, well, you know, that everyone who's been here today definitely wishes you well with that. And I do as well. And it sounds like we might be carrying on our conversation after today's webinar, because Rachel's not going to let that lie now about recognising carers. So that's definitely going to happen, either with us or somebody else, but it's happening. All right, Alex, thank you so much. I hope you all have a lovely Wednesday afternoon, and I will see you in a few weeks. Take care.
Thanks, Emma. See you later, everyone. Thank you.